I found out recently that in 2001 you came fairly close to death because you were quite near the Twin Towers. You were doing a speech about half an hour before the first plane hit the first tower. What was that like?
It's not quite that hard to talk about, really. We were planning a seminar that morning in one of the buildings belonging to Trinity Church in New York, which is about a block away from the Twin Towers. And we were trapped in the building for a while. I think most of us expected we were going to die. Nobody knew what was happening. And the sound of the first tower coming down was unforgettable. Nobody knew what was happening. We knew that the towers had been attacked. We heard this deafening noise just 100 yards or so away. And yes, we expected we wouldn't get out alive. Eventually we managed to get out through the basement of the building we were in, into this wasteland of devastation outside. And one of the things I remember actually from that morning was there was a creche in the building on the ground floor. So as we got out, we had to bring with us a crowd of tiny children under 4 who were, as you can imagine, completely bewildered and terrified by it all. And that brought it home. It also stopped us worrying about ourselves. And one of the very few positive things I can think of at the end of that day is we did have the news by the end of the day that all the children had been reunited with their families before the end of that day. But yes, it was a nightmare.
So where was God then?
Where he always is, always in the centre of things, always in the acts of love and generosity that people give to one another in times of crisis, when you might expect people to be driven inwards by selfishness and fear. So often, amazingly, they have the grace and the gift to turn outwards, and I see God in that. You know, the people reaching out a hand to support, the people just being visibly there. And the wonderful man we met as we tried to escape down the street and had to take refuge for a moment in a porter cabin as the cloud of debris swept past. This man who, we didn't know, a workman, I think, in the porter cabin, just saying, I think we ought to pray. He didn't know who we were. He didn't know that we were all clergy and monks and nuns and bishops and so on, but just took a couple of us by the hand and gathered us round and prayed intensely.
Gosh.
So, a lot of God, and certainly in all the dedicated work done by the rescuers and the fire services and so on.
Yeah, there were some remarkable stories came out.
Remarkable. People expect, when they ask the question, where was God, they expect sometimes an answer in terms of a God who steps in and solves it all, or stops it happening, or mops it up. But the way God works seems to be in the heart of it all and through the people.